Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
I was.
And most people probably know you from that, right?
I think that, yeah, that's probably my biggest thing to date and my favorite thing to date. So, yeah.
Favorite.
So if they're going to like me for something, if they're going to know me for something, it should be that, yeah.
Now, I never watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I'm sorry to say.
I'm curious, did you have like a superpower on there? I mean...
no, I was actually usually the victim when something happened.
Nice.
So Sabrina would do magic, and if I was on that episode, it would negatively affect me in some way, which would then help with our lesson. So, yeah, I was a moral monger.
Clarissa Explains It All started it.
It's true.
And
the birds and the bees?
And if I could marry any fictitious character of all time from literature, TV, or film, it would be Clarissa from Clarissa Explains It All. But when she got old enough to marry, because she was the coolest chick ever.
I'm not assuming that you're creepy. But what was it that sold you on that?
She was, I don't know. There was something about her personality. She wore funky clothes, and she had a guy climb into her room, and I was like, that could be me.
But to make you feel better about your crush, Melissa is that kind of cool.
Yeah.
And at least when I knew her, and she doesn't seem to have changed all that much. But
she's married or something now.
She is. To a race car driver who's in a rock band.
Whoa.
Cool. So how many badass things can you like stack on top of one another?
That's true.
I drive really fast cars. I play guitar. I've been touring around the world. I'm tall and I'm hunky. So
it's like that's like the premise of a TV show for MTV.
That is every television show on MTV.
How did you get started doing this whole like acting stuff?
Well, actually, it's been something that I've done almost my entire life. I was born in the Midwest. I was born in Indiana, but grew up for the first few years. I don't remember it, so it wasn't so bad. But lived in Wisconsin for a while, and while I was there, started doing plays at a very young age, and then we moved out in '85 and started doing plays here, and I just remember really enjoying that, and so I told my parents that was what I wanted to do. So my dad did some research, found a manager named Phyllis Henson who was able to help me get started, and she hooked me up with the Savage Agency, who got me started doing stuff, and it was always a career path that I wanted to go down, and as boring as it sounds, we just kind of did it. And I was very fortunate to have parents that were very supportive and found a way to make it happen.
What advice would you give to young people, kids who want to become actors but don't have supportive parents? And who live like say in Alaska?
Actually, the best advice that anybody can get right now, if they want to get into the entertainment industry, is just start shooting whatever you can and put it on YouTube or Vimeo. Because the business has changed dramatically. Really dramatically. I mean, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I have never seen the amount of change that has happened in the last 5.
Wow.
It's just the models are all changing, your distribution is changing, your ability to shoot, edit, and produce is changing. I mean, we're all filmmakers, and all the important people are filmmakers.
The important people are filmmakers.
And the fact of the matter is, nobody's going to be selling a physical copy of anything in 5 years.
Yeah.
They're going to be downloading it.
Yeah, and even
that's
the
how
idea
I watched
of
Doctor Who.
Right, completely legally, of course.
Don't show that.
I don't even,
legally,
right?
Totally.
Of
I fly to
course.
England all the time.
All the time. What? But no, I mean, even the movie that I'm working on right now, I think is primarily going to be video on demand.
Absolutely.
And streaming and
Netflix.
Absolutely. There was an infographic that came out 2 weeks ago, which would be last month by the time this comes out, about the amount of piracy versus Netflix. And things that are available on Netflix get pirated 90% less than things that are not available on Netflix. And when you look at the different options people have, they're not going to cable. They don't care.
No one cares.
They're going to Netflix, they're streaming it, they're downloading it wherever it's available, and people prefer to do it legally. They're absolutely doing it legally.
No, people will. If the option is there and it's easy to do,
exactly.
People are going to do it.
I made a movie in 2006 called Stupid Teenagers Must Die. And I won't say that it's a good movie, but it's good for the people who like it.
But you will say it's a movie.
But it's definitely a movie.
It's on Netflix right now.
Absolutely on Netflix. And part of why people are seeing it, it's being pirated like fucking crazy. I have a Google alert for the title, and every day I get at least one alert that says, "Here, it's available here. It's available here.
Oh
it's
my
available
God.
here." And
you're not seeing any of that.
We're not seeing any of that.
But I want to talk about Cheerleaders Must Die.
So do I, and thank you so much to everybody who contributed to the Kickstarter campaign. It was a massive success, and thank you so much for helping make that happen. We can't wait to make this movie for you.
Tell us a little bit about it, because this is a really fucking cool concept of a film, and you're trying to get it made right now. So,
Yes.
So yeah, Nick doesn't know much about it, so tell me,
Okay,
because
all
I know
right.
about it. I'll
So,
just sit back here.
back in the dark days, 3 years ago, I was sitting on a couch with Renee before we were even dating, who is my wife now. She was telling me about the horror stories of cheerleader camp, and so I wanted to make a trauma film. I wanted to make a movie that was awful on purpose, and really things had not turned out on Stupid Teenagers the way that I wanted them to. So what I wanted to do was see if I could make the movie that I thought I wanted Stupid Teenagers to be.
Gotcha.
Renee introduced me to Zeke by chance at a dinner party. And so he took over scripting duties and has since made a far better script than where we were at before. And so yeah, it's been I guess in terms of from initial seed to where we are now, it's been a 3-year progression. But when we look at it as a project, it's really only been like a year and a half.
Yeah. No, I mean, one of the things I think, a lot of the things other young wannabe filmmakers don't understand is how long it takes. I literally have people from back home that email me, and it's like, hey, have you made any more movies? And then like 3 months later, hey, have you made a new movie recently?
That's the best
It's
thing.
like, it takes years and years and years to make a movie. It does.
Yeah.
And until you're big enough to where you have the money and the resources and the people to just like have them lined up and make a slate of films.
Well, that's what people don't consider.
Yeah.
Is that the average time for an independent film to get made is 5 years.
Yeah.
And that's considering that most actually take 7 to 10.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there are a couple that can get made in 2.
And there's big movies that take that long to get made.
Oh,
There's
absolutely.
Every big filmmaker out there, even Spielberg, has some movies that he's probably been trying to make for decades.
Here's an interesting story about Cheerleaders. We actually had the money to make the movie originally, right off the bat. The reason why we were so active to get it done was because we had a funder that was ready to go. And then the drop of 2006 hit. And all of a sudden, bankrupt.
Yeah.
They were gone. And they were like, I'm sorry, we got bills to pay that aren't you.
Yeah. There's
What?
2008.
Was it 2008?
Where did that voice go again? Oh my god.
I'm sorry. 2006 was the beginning of my demise. So yeah.
No, there's like,
But
you're
yeah.
not the only one. And I was
Yeah.
similar. I had movies that were going to get made until
I
the
remember.
economy fell.
Because
Yeah.
I was trying to find money for one of those movies.
One of the same movies. And also it's a small world, Hollywood, because Curtis and I were working on the same project at different times with the same people and didn't know it. Okay, so we're running out of tape there, so Amy, you can come in for an intimate thing here.
Let's make it
Because I want to get
Am I
something.
included in this?
Yes, you are. Now, but I want to know, Curtis, you were in a Michael Bay film. Not a Michael May film, a Michael Bay film. What was it? I didn't say you will be one day. You will be. So what was it like to work with that douchebag?
Now, my personal experience with Michael Bay was actually very positive for as limited as it was.
Michael, I just want to point out, I'm just joking, Michael. You can still hire
It's too
me
late.
to be
It's
in
too late.
Transformers
It's
7.
Too late. You already said it.
Or
It's
Pearl
already
Harbor
out there.
Part 2.
Damn it.
But oh, fuck it, who cares? So I remember walking onto set the first day that I was doing Pearl Harbor and seeing Michael Bay basically doing a firing squad as I was walking in. A bunch of people were getting fired and being accused of not selling his dream. Not making that vision happen, which is entirely possible. I mean, I've heard other stories on other sets that this is kind of how that works.
Yeah.
And if you've seen the movie, it's 15 seconds of my sweaty head typing dramatically as I'm decoding the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. People recognize me from Pearl Harbor more than almost anything. There are three things people recognize me from: Pearl Harbor, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen's Winning London, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch. And I would think that Sabrina would be number one. But it ain't. But it's Pearl fucking Harbor.